which is we've talked about leveraging the data, we've talked about agents themselves. Now let's raise it up to the management team level. What are the thoughts there? And Jason, do you want to take a crack at this one in terms of how managers within lead gen call centers should be thinking about approaching it?
Yeah, and I think whether it's lead gen call centers or any organization, I think there's two big things. One is understanding your org structure of your company, meaning there is typically a team, frontline team. In this case, let's say it's lead generators. It could be the salespeople themselves. And then there's some frontline managers, whether it's a team lead, a supervisor, a sales manager, branch manager, shift manager. I don't care what you call it. In your org chart, there's this manager there. And then there's layers above that could be more executives, or they're just higher up, whether they're a director or not. One big thing I see that companies make a lot of mistakes on is that once somebody goes into a management role and they're a frontline manager, they put them in email and meeting hell. They are burdening them with emails, with messages, with meetings, with all kinds of stuff that take them away from their team and basically mean they're not there to support their troops. And then their troops are going to get slaughtered on the battlefield, right? And so organizations need to get better at saying, all right, you're a frontline manager. Here's what you need to do. Not emails, not meetings, not reports, not all this other stuff. You just focus on them. And then that person's manager, leader, boss should be the one that's doing that. And it sounds simple, but so many organizations just forget that and just think everyone should be doing everything. And they're literally not on the floor. They need to be on the floor, not in the meetings. And then and I talked about leadership training earlier, but the other second big thing comes from the philosophers, the great philosophers, Tribe Called Quest, scared money don't make none. And I think it's really important that when times like this, where there's a lot of upheaval, economy, inflation, all kinds of stuff, where is there ways in your organization, internally and externally, that you can go and do more, right? Spend more money, buy higher quality leads, get market share of marketing. When things are good, marketing comes really expensive and competitive. When things get rough, you can usually make advances where everyone else is holding their chips and hiding in their cave and hoping to weather the storm. But like, where can you do? I'm not saying you should be reckless and do it all over the place, but can you provide better training? Can you pay more for your reps so you have better retention and better quality so that then when opportunities and leads, the phone calls connect through a platform like Convoso, you have the right people who can just knock it out of the park. Like, where can you do more and spend more in the right way to gain in these kind of times instead of just being scared all over the place?
Yeah, I echo that as well. Look, we're a very lean machine. We operate lean. We're a nonprofit, so we operate typically in that fashion. But some of the things and strategies that we're applying in areas where we can effectively outsource and control incrementally the spend month to month, that has helped us. We've eradicated bloat. And when I say bloat, when I even at home, I was going through my personal checking account and I was like, what is this $19.99 a month that I didn't know I was spending for the last 3 years? And I never used the product, but it just became bloat in my monthly spend. And so I'm going through the P&L and I'm looking at every single transaction and eradicating any kind of duplicity and anything that's just obsolete or not required at this point. And then we're automating every area of the organization because I believe that the time is as much a precious resource as the revenue coming in. And so if we can do better with each one of those resources and get more out of them, then we are better with less. And we're renegotiating when we're up for a renewal on something. And unfortunately, we're seeing prices go up. And so this is a battle where we're trying to contain and control, but it's just a game that we'll continue to play as long as we need to play it. And we're getting very agile as we continue to go through this. What I believe the outcome of that is that whenever the economy and inevitably will bounce back to whatever everyone feels comfortable with, we're going to be a much, much more efficient machine at the other side of that than we ever were. So sometimes I love these dips because I think they really create opportunity for those organizations that are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the things necessary to do it.
That's great. That's great tips. I've got one question, but I wanted to comment on the scared money, another great quote by our own Jason Cutter. One thing that we found in a downturn, people pull back on advertising And those that do have a greater share of mind there. And similarly, what we've found is a lot of our companies that are doing outbound marketing, outbound dialing, they said now a lot of people, there's maybe less people doing that. And through all the a lot of the regulations, they are trying to clamp down on all the illegal robocallers. But they said, boy, it's great. People have become increasingly likely to pick up the phone because there's less garbage out there, and there's less, as well as less people out there just calling.